decided I was not going to be an astronaut. I said I was not going to be an astronaut, and I was going to do films about space one day. And the only thing about this anecdote that I got a camera, it's true, but it was a Super 8 camera, stuff that you guys don't know about. It's before VHS. And I'm from Mexico, and at that time it was very expensive to Super 8 film. So what I would do is I would do my films, and I put my siblings to act in them, but I will do the whole thing without a film. You know, empty camera.
That's smart.
Yeah, I know. My best films are those.
Lucky for us, they didn't put a film in this game, but it's interesting anyway.
The version without film is much better.
Okay, just sound.
No, just sound up.
Okay, just a drag basically screen. That's
Imagine if I tell you what I made the actors go through to make this film, then I tell Sandra Bruno you're just doing well, there was no film in the camera.
great. But you should have filmed that though, the phone call. Hey George, there was no film in the camera. Next time. Yeah, hidden camera. Alfonso Cuaro does the hidden camera for you. Alfonso, as far as I know, you wrote the script with your son.
Yeah, with my
How did that come about?
I have collaborated with him in the past, and he gave me this screenplay that actually he's directing right now with Gael Garcia Bernal, and he gave me that screenplay, and he wanted notes, and I read it and said, I don't have many notes, I want you to help me to write something like this. And the film he's doing now, not like the Seattle, is very linear narrative, and he has this theory that if you strip the narrative elements and dialogue from it, and you create an immersive, emotional ride, then what happens is that audiences invest their own experience, their own experience, their own emotional experience into the characters. You know, so it becomes in which a lot of the performance is about trying to bring out that final element of it. And so we decided to do a film like that for the space.
I know that a couple of people have already seen the movie, and they're going to see it tonight for the second, or third, or fourth, or fifth time. I've seen it, and I was blown away, and I would like to quote someone. You might know him. His name is James Cameron. He saw the movie, and he said, I was stunned, absolutely floored. I think it's the best space photography ever done. I think it's the best space film ever done, and it's the movie I've been hungry to see for a long time. I mean, what does it mean to you if you hear that?
I mean, I don't know if the life here is flattering, very flattering.
Did he call you up and tell you that, or did you read the
No, I read that because early on in the process, when everybody said that the movie was impossible to make, he's the one who said, you're going to make it. You have to invent the tools and make something of it because you're going to make it. And then he was very supportive about that. He offered some ideas. And actually, he offered help. You know, it's just that I'm not James Cameron, so I cannot, I don't have those pockets. You know, so then, years later, I finished the film, and 2 months ago, I had dinner with him. We bombed in Mexico. The whole place is Mexico City. We're in the same event, we go for dinner. And he was like, see, man, I told you were going to be able to make it. He says, yes, it was right. He says, the only thing I didn't tell you is that it was possible, but your hair was going to turn gray. And then he says, do you see this gray hair? That was Avatar. So, yeah.
And he's going to make 2, 3, and 4, and then he's going to use that probably. That's the way it goes. You know, talking about the improbability of making a movie like this, it took you about 4 years to create the effects of being weightless in space, zero gravity. What was the difficulty, and why did it take you so long? I mean, what did you have to create, what James told you to do?
What was difficult?
Yeah. That is quite difficult.
I mean,
but how did you do it?
floating. Okay. Keep it floating.
I'm George Clooney now.
Yeah. No, that's the thing, is that we're bounded to gravity. and the whole film takes place in no zero gravity. Technically, it's microgravity, and so the whole film takes place in microgravity. And two things happen. First of all, understanding the principles of microgravity and non-resistance is very counterintuitive, because our brains are used to think in terms of horizon and weight, you know. And here you have to strip all of those stuff to create the choreography. And once that you do that, then you realize that existing technologies, they cannot do that. Well, at that time. So we have to create a new set of tools and technologies.
Did you ever think that you wouldn't be able to make it? Why creating those tools?
I guess it's a little bit like you start swimming in a lake, and then you lose sight of the shore, and then you just bet that the next shore is going to be closer. And then you just keep on swimming forever, for a year and a half.
And it took you to swim.
Yeah,
to get to the other
like
side of
that.
it.
So you just, there's a point in which you don't have any other choice.
You know, the story and the effects are great, but you have two actors in the movie, Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, and everyone knows that they're quite close. I mean, they're buddies, they hang out, they talk. Who did you need to convince to get the other one on board? Did you talk to both of them, or had you already both of them in mind when you did the plans?
I approached Sandra first, and then pretty much we had the idea together of going after George. And yeah, I think it's not a bad idea.
And did you tell Sandra to call him and basically get him? Or did you
No, because I had already a relationship with George, and we always talk about doing something together. And it was one of those things that after it was 2.5 years of developing technology, suddenly we realized that he had a window of availability. So it was just like the perfect timing, a perfect situation with George.
How would you describe working with them?
It's fun. I mean, when they're separate.
Why is it fun when they're together?
I guess that it's just that they have to work until these intense, bizarre conditions. I mean, it's. I'm so grateful with them, with the amazing performance that they deliver because it's a performance delivered through a big abstraction, because they were performing like it's nothing. And it was like long choreographies in which they were not point of reference. It's a little bit like dancers doing a very complicated choreography. On top of that, very painful breeze. And all the time surrounded by robots and LED lights. Emmanuel Lubezki, the director of photography, described it like we have been performing inside an iPod. But it was tough for them. So I guess that they were a bit angry or something, because whenever they were together, they were just like taking the piss out of me and about my accent.
What did you do? You just let them hang in the
They
ring.
stopped doing my accent. They saw because they play me like Tony Montana. You know? I'm Mexican, so
They didn't stop. See? So you were laughing inside all the time while they were trying to.
well, you have to let the kid play so they get entertained when you're doing work.
Very smart. Very smart. You know, now looking back at the experience of creating this movie, would you do it again? And do you have the feeling when you see it that you've done the best that you could, or is it, as a director, really difficult to look at a movie like that?
Okay, first of all, I would never do it again. I would go to space any second if I'm invited, but I would never do a film like this again. It was pleasurable. I enjoyed every single step, but I would never do it again. And the other stuff is, once that I finish a film, I never ever see it again. So the whole thing you said is, a part of the risk is that if I see it again, probably I will see all the flaws and try to keep on working on it.
So you haven't seen it since the day that you finished editing it?
Well, the thing is, we finished like 2 weeks before Venice. Then the film was in Venice, but I have to see the film that time. I like to see it more with audience, you know? not just in Venice, but then I saw it in Venice, and that's it.
And did you like what the audience did and what you saw?
I don't know, I was with next to my kids, they were just asking questions all the time.
So you weren't taking it.
I have no idea.
Alfonso,
By the way,
question.
my son, who's 8, said, this is his review. He says, the opening is awesome, then I fell asleep, and then it's pretty good.
That's a great compliment, very honest.
Like,
You should talk to James Cameron about what he said and saw. And last but not least, Alfonso, will you ever go to space if you get the chance?
yeah, any second.
Any second. So there's still a little astronaut.
So, soon want to sponsor.
Yeah. Credit Suisse, talk to them. They might be able to buy you a whole spaceship. Alfonso, thank you so much for being here. Big round of applause.